This video is to explain to you the standards mastery and RTI plan that we've established for second semester of the 1920 school year. Again, this is a collaboration of the Math RTI leadership team, worked together to develop this plan to use the standards mastery assessments that are available for grades 2 through 8. 7th and 8th grade will be coming shortly here. And be able to really focus in on critical standards that we know we want students to reach mastery on. So we can assess them, make sure that we're providing enrichment for the students who have already shown mastery after having their classroom instruction on that standard, but also providing that RTI remediation for students who have not shown mastery on those standards. So this system will assess students, provide the RTI instruction, and then assess them again in a post-test to make sure that they grew through that RTI instruction. So here is the plan that we have laid out. I want to just explain everything. First of all, a lot of these cells have a little yellow triangle in the corner, and that indicates that there is a comment from me or someone else on that particular cell. So if you hover over those, you'll see a little pop-up that's giving you additional information. So you'll make sure you pay attention to those. So beginning January 6th, this should say January 7 to 8. Beginning January 6th, when we first return from Christmas vacation, we want to spend that day preparing students to take their very first standards mastery test. That's going to be done during RTI time, so it doesn't take away from your math block, but we'll do it as a whole class, led by the classroom teacher. So during RTI time, classroom teachers will prepare students for that test by going over the grade appropriate slides, which are hyperlinked right here. So you can just show those slides, talk through it, make sure you're talking to the students about doing their very best on standards mastery so that we know which students need more help with that particular skill. Then beginning January 7th and 8th, this will take 2 days worth of RTI time. We want to give students practice and exposure and kind of some training in how to take these standards mastery tests. So we're going to have you give Form A to the entire class as a teaching tool, walking through it on the projector, having students click along on their own devices, and really talking through it. Think aloud the thought process for solving those problems. Also things like how to drag and drop the answers in, how to select from a drop-down menu, those kind of things that sometimes stump up our kids and have really nothing to do with their math skills. So for each grade level, you can see which standard is going to be assessed. So for grade 2, it's CA1, for grade 3, it's C3, and so on. So again, this assessment will be pushed out. You'll have a student log in on your device so that you can project it and talk through it. And all the other students can sign in on their own devices and click through with you, making sure that they stay engaged. So you have 2 days of RTI time to get through those 5 or 6 questions of that standards mastery test. Okay? Then beginning January 9th, we are going to give Form B of that same standards mastery test. So similar questions, but different numbers and scenarios. And we'll use that Form B for RTI placement. So that the students will actually do independently. It'll still be done during RTI time, but we can break them into small groups for that assessment so that we can make sure everyone is really staying focused. So you have 2 days for them to take that standards mastery test independently. And then we'll use the results of that test to formulate our RTI groups. From January 13th through 29th, then, that will be our window for RTI teaching. This is mostly focused on remediating those students who did not show mastery on this particular standard and providing enrichment for those students who did show mastery on that standard. Now, this is a work in progress, but what's coming here, you see that I've got 3rd grade hyperlinked here. And if you follow that link, it's going to be a document that will lay out exactly what lessons can be done for RTI for each of the different groups. So for the proficient group, it would be enrichment lessons. For the progressing group, it would be some mild remediation, and then as you go down the different levels here, the intensity, I guess, of the remediation increases. So this will eventually have a list here of lessons in order to do with those students during RTI during that window. You're not necessarily locked into these per se, but just trying to keep you from having a lot of additional prep to do, and also making sure that we're being fairly consistent in how we're approaching RTI and that students are all getting similar things. This document will also include in each column the names of the students who are in those groups, and depending how those numbers fall, some of these groups may get split. So we may have 2 yellow groups because we have so many kids that fall into that progressing category. Okay, so you'll be able to just go to this document, go to the column for the RTI group that you are teaching, and be able to click through from there the types of things that you can do with your RTI group. So back to the pacing guide here. So this same basic pattern repeats in February, except we won't be doing that practice whole class one at that point. So February 3rd and 4th, we'll give Form A for RTI placement with a different standard for each grade level. And then we'll have a window of RTI teaching, reteaching on that standard. And then we'll give Form B of the test in order to make sure that the students grew through that RTI process. It'll repeat one more time for another standard in March. This window is a little bit bigger because we do have spring break in here, and we also are approaching iLearn at that point, so we won't really have time to do another one, except for second grade, who does not have to take iLearn. They will be able to do one more round of Standards Mastery RTI before the end of the year. Okay? So again, this document is still a work in progress. These hyperlinks will all get filled in, and the document that they're linking to will start getting filled in. This will be stuff that I will be working on as we go into the new year, and staying a step ahead of you to make sure that you always have everything that you need. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to talk to your RTI teacher in your building or to myself, and we will help get you straightened out and provide all the support you need to be able to effectively run your RTI group and understand what is going on with our schedule as we continue to improve this RTI plan. Thank you, and keep doing the great work that you do.